And welcome back to another episode of Over the Glass. I am your co-host, Nessa.
I am the other co-host, Jay.
And I am the other co-host, Drew.
So, switching it up a little bit here, but we got some topics to talk about. Should we start with Devin Cooley and how awesome he's been, even though the Sharks suck?
Devin Cooley. He just makes me all kinds of happy because if you're a kid growing up in the Bay, like the dream is, you're looking up to all these professional athletes and maybe that's like your thing and you hope that one day represent the team that you're rooting for, and he's doing that for us. He might be a little hard on himself at times, but he's doing it. He talked about the first NHL start he would have on home ice, talking about how he almost ate it when he was going onto the ice as a backup, almost ran into the shark head. But he talked about how he was going to try not to do that again. And I didn't get to see him come through the head last night, but I imagine he had a blast. I can only imagine how cool it is to be in his shoes.
Skates.
The Sharks were doing really great until they weren't, and that's kind of the season that we've been having. But Cooley, he was interviewed after the game, and I get it. You want to be there for the team. You want to be solid in net. And I hope, the experience will be more of his memory of that night than everything else that came about to give the Hawks the win. But I guess we'll see at the end of the season if he is signed to the team for next season. But until then, I'm just having a blast, just kind of like living vicariously through this kid who grew up less than 10 minutes away from where the Sharks play, grew up through the Junior Shark program, and has found his way back and had all his family in the crowd. So very rude of the Hawks to just kind of ruin that for him. So thanks a lot. I had to see a very sad mom
She was crying
in the stands.
Oh no!
She was crying, the poor thing, because he was so close to getting his first NHL win, and then the stupid Hawks tied it with like 40 seconds left in the game, and they cut to a shot of his family, and she's like wiping tears away. It's so sad. It's like, I feel it. I didn't even watch the whole game, but I feel it.
The Blackhawks
sad mom tears
continue to do psychological damage to just regular people. The Blackhawks should start doing better by everybody at this. You're making moms cry. No.
So rude.
Villain
So
origin story right there. It's like sad moms in the stands. Just
that sounds like a good band name. Sad Moms.
Sad moms in the stands.
Okay, but like in your opinion, I haven't been able to catch either of his games really, or maybe the last one I was able to catch some of it, but I only caught maybe like 5 minutes of last night's game. How well did he play? Like how much of it really was just the Sharks' defense collapsing and leaving him out to dry?
I like the tying goal was very fluky. It came from behind the net, and he had talked about it post game about how he didn't even know how it slipped through. So I just feel like it's one of those unfortunate situations where he looked like he was everywhere he needed to be. He was a little like he'd get out of his crease more than he should have. And I just think that he's like, trying to not be in his head so much. And it's, it is very nerve-wracking to be put in that situation. And I think you can only get better at that with experience. And so for him only being in there for his second start, I thought he looked pretty decent. Now, the Sharks came out like really strong. Like I think we went into like the second like 2 up or something like that, and then we like scored a couple more, and then the Hawks started coming back, and like you kind of have to look at it from the reality that these are 2 of the bottom teams in the league. Like neither one of us is good. So, but at this level between the 2 of us, it was a really exciting game. But, I feel like regardless of like, I don't recall any sort of goals ever scored where I'm like, like Cooley was way out of position or anything like that. But it's like, especially with like a baby goalie like that, the Sharks do have to kind of step up for him. And I just think the Hawks had Mrazek. He's a veteran. He like there were certain saves where I'm just like, oh, that could have been it. And he just has that experience that he's able to continue to stay focused even when his team is down 4-0. Like he has that mental like capacity to not allow that to like seep in, versus like a brand new goalie that's trying not to think about that. But it's like, oh my God, it's like you can't help but feel that pressure to help your team out and have a really great game.
Not just that, it's like getting his first NHL win at home when his whole family's
it would have
there.
been such a like it would have been such
Storybook
a Hallmark fairy tale ending.
Yeah.
But instead it turned into a horror story.
And those sports stories too, like that's the great thing about sports, right? Is like most of the time the storylines write themselves. Like that would have been such an excellent little like sort of, I don't want to say asterisk, but like a sort of thing that like Cooley could have been like this is how it started. Like I got my first dub like on home ice, like for me, because like home ice comes with him, but like with so much more weight than it just being like where the Sharks play, right? So like if he would have ended up with a dub like on home ice and like with his parents in the crowd, like what a brilliant story that would have been, like sports story, So damn you, Chicago.
Yeah.
We can't have nice things ever.
See, I'm more angry at the Hawks than I am about the Sharks. Because I'm like, I was rooting for this awesome story to write itself. And instead, you have to come in and ruin everything.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about this hockey season anymore. I'm just like not even paying attention anymore at this point. But we're at the bottom of the standings, like legit. How many points out now? I can't remember.
I think we've got like 30 points.
Wow.
I remember they were showing a graphic. I must have seen it post game or through scrolling on Twitter and whatever. It's whatever, like this whole, we're just kind of having to get to the end of the season. And with every loss that comes about, it's just one step closer to, we're looking forward to the draft. And any other game, I would have been okay with the Sharks loss as long as they kind of like put a lot of heart into it and just didn't get like steamrolled and and look like they weren't caring anymore. Like as long as they're trying, and there's a lot of highlights. Like I mean, the first 4 goals were scored by Zetterlund and Thomas Bordeleau. These are the up and coming guys, and it's been really great to see Thomas Bordeleau progressing, because the past few seasons we've had him come up. It's like the first time was like, oh, really cool, prospect, gets a couple of games in, he's put around veterans, and he had that one, what was that one game where he scored, what was it, like a shootout or something? And it was like that whole Vegas. Epic. Yeah. And then the next season, it's like he came up for a couple more games and still good, but you could tell that he wasn't ready to be up at the big club for like a full season. Spent the time down in the CUDA. then also spent majority of the season down in the CUDA, and comes up over the last like couple of games with injuries and everything like that, and he looks like he's ready to go now. Just the way that he's moving, the way that he doesn't look like he's 3 or 4 steps behind the play. Like, you can tell he knows what he wants to do, and he's doing it, and he did it in the first and second period. Friggin' Zennerland's just like on his game. Him and Eklund are just like synced up like crazy. It's real. Like, I'm here for the good vibes this season, and seeing these kids, that something we're going to get around to a little later in this episode. It's really infuriating to me that people are being so critical of this team during a rebuild that for years everyone has been talking about, like, God, Sharks should really go on a rebuild. It's like, now that we're here, and it's like, oh, what are the Sharks doing?
Why wait,
it's so
Jay? Just
annoying.
Get into it. Roll right into it.
Go off, Jay. Go off.
So Pierre Maguire apparently has this podcast that he started with some other dude it hasn't even been like a year yet, I want to say. I looked up, like, when did you guys start this thing? And it's so annoying because we've had to see it all season. The people are talking about the Sharks like, wow, we must be doing everything wrong. And it's like, we just become this like laughing stock in a way. And I had mentioned like a couple of episodes back when it was just like me and Nessa, where I'm like, why aren't the Hawks getting the same sort of, from my perspective, maybe I'm just not seeing it because like my algorithm is not exactly like
Hawks friendly.
I don't want any Hawks content. So maybe I benefit of the doubt, maybe I'm just not seeing it. But then, the writing's on the wall. It's the simple answer that we did not get the generational player. So the Hawks, even though they did the thing 2 seasons ago where they got rid of Kane, they got rid of, Taze wasn't able to play or whatever.
To bring I think.
Yeah, like the last couple of seasons, like they legit were like, nope, we can't do anymore. We need to start over. And they just were like, all these dudes that mean anything, like, goodbye, just leave. And
everyone was for it, right? Oh, they have to do this because they have to rebuild.
And, they were in a position where, we used to have Doug Wilson, and there were certain things that Doug Wilson did that are now we're paying the price for it, where we've had to move these guys despite the fact that they have these very friendly player contracts. And I want to say that the Hawks didn't really have that issue. So they, however they did it, they were able to just like, get everything off this table. We're starting new, versus when we're doing it and it's like, we can't quite do that because we're tied to all these guys. And we've had to, slowly move things along over the last couple of seasons. And there isn't the most like team friendly way to do that, because as we were talking just before we hopped on, that despite your desire that when we moved Timo Meyer, when we moved Erik Karlsson, Tomas Hertl, everyone's hoping that you get something really great in return. So I get that, so it doesn't hurt as much, and then you can look forward to like the future. But I still feel like the Timo trade, I would do it again. I think, like we've talked about, like Zetterland's been really great this season. It was a little like uncertain when we got him in like halfway through the season, but that's just how things are in general with any players coming into, to a new organization. And then, with like
drafted Musty. Did you see the news from last night? He just reached 100 points. I forgot what league he plays for. ECHL.
And freaking Will Smith got a rooster trick during his tournament.
Yeah, won the championship.
There's all these really great things, but apparently, going back to why I'm ranting about this, it's so triggering to me when I see non-Sharks media. And I mean that in a way that I'm not saying like, oh, I want people to just make me feel better, with shark-centric media. Like Sharks media can also be very like, critical of the team. So we're not like being homers in how we project the content and all that stuff. But I just feel like most of non-Sharks media are just looking at one or two things, like the very surface level of things, and being like, what is going on? Like, oh, look, they have no veteran presence. Like, they're gonna make all these players, these young players, come up with no support, and like their rebuild looks terrible. It's like, no, our rebuild looks terrible to you because we don't have a nice little Connor Bedard distraction. Because the Hawks are freaking doing the same goddamn thing.
Yeah, and not to come after the Hawks is like I love to do, but it is interesting, right? Because like when you bring that up, Jay, like the Hawks have been in kind of a really weird predicament at points this season. Like when the Corey Perry thing happened, and they were like so in need of help because the Corey Perry incident happened, and then like Taylor Hall was out too, like where they had to go and like dig through the crates of the NHL to find bodies to wear a jersey and like skate for them. So it's like if there's if you're gonna apply like to the being critical to the Sharks, some of the stuff that the Blackhawks have been doing, like you said, they have that fancy little Connor Bedard distraction, but there's been moments in this season in particular where the Blackhawks have been completely SOL. They're like, this guy can skate, he can move his feet, he's a big dude. Hey, do you want to come play for us for league minimum? Because we have no other options. Like, rebuilds, I know because the Canucks went through a very terrible one because of who we had at the helm of our organization. Rebuilds aren't fun. And I think like the expectation for some people is that they have like we're gonna draft these prospects, and then like all of a sudden like all these guys are gonna come in here immediate and make an impact. And that just, it doesn't work that way. And I think it's wild to slag down any team that's clearly in the middle of a rebuild. And from the outside looking in, I think how the Sharks are approaching it is a pretty like common sense good strategy, right? Like you're drafting young prospects, you're letting them develop. They're doing great things in the league where they're at. And even if the Sharks are getting dunked on at moments, you're also not like scraping the bottom of the league barrel and like, hey, we really need like somebody to fill in this gap. Will you be our guy? We're not bringing in somebody from the 47-year-old free agency list. Like, so it, to those people out there that are hammering on the Sharks, and I know they're a Pacific Division team, and I shouldn't have a soft spot for them, but I do love an
But you
underdog
do.
story. I do, and anytime the Sharks have been playing anybody this season, especially teams that I don't like, I'm like, I hope San Jose kicks their ass.
And then they don't.
Right. But to that extent, I'm like, you know what? You tried. You showed up and you played, and that sometimes is all you can ask
An
for.
effort was made. That's all we can ask for.
Right.
It's so
I'm with
sad.
you. I'm with you, Jay. Like, if you're gonna bark at who's rebuilding, like, at least bark about it evenly. Some teams have been, so we have Bedard. Okay, well, where's your other 11 forwards? Like,
I
you might
don't
not
know.
have.
Sorry.
It's like, I know that people are like, oh my God, like, how is San Jose going to get people through the doors? And it's been really rough this whole season. And,
Giveaways.
but it's like, again, like the Hawks, they have Bedard. Like, people are coming to watch Bedard. I'm sorry, we didn't get him. What, like, how is that our fault? And all last season, people were just like, how are the Sharks are like so bad? And it's like, yeah, we shouldn't have been. Like the way that on paper, the way that the roster looked last season, we shouldn't have been. but we were, and we could have been so much worse if Erik Karlsson hadn't just, decided to hit the god mode in his career and gone on that, Norris Trophy run. But like
Thanks, Carlson.
the clip that I saw from Pierre Maguire's podcast, he said they're in trouble. Anyone that says that they're believing in the rebuild in San Jose, their nose is growing by the second. And I don't understand how someone can look at this rebuild and only like the second year, and we haven't even really, like, we've had to tear it down over the years, because how else, and I kept saying this over and over again, like, what else would you expected them to do? Like,
Right.
we can't just get rid of these contracts. Like, we're not in a position where, like, no one has to help us. We could have just been stuck with it and sucked with no hope moving forward. But it's like all season we've been seeing these highlights, Quentin Musty, like Will Smith, Luca Cognoli,
Cagnoni? Something like
Luca
that?
I think
Spiza.
so.
No.
No, hell no, no way. All these, young up and coming. We're not like forcing them to like hurry up and get over here. And it's like, I will say, I did not listen to the whole podcast because I'm just not, just from that little bit alone, like, it doesn't give me any reason to like, let me hear you out. It's like, no, you're already saying, oh my God, like, no one should believe in this rebuild. And it's like, no, screw you. I believe in this rebuild. Greer's only been able to have one draft year where he's been able to be at the helm to see those picks and who they go to. The one that he came in with when they hired him during the off season last season, those were already, like, all of those reports and all that stuff was ready to go for him. And, he didn't really have too much of a say outside of those bits, I want to say, because the research was already done. But now it's like upcoming to this draft season, unless we go on like a 12-game winning streak, not happening. Like, it's looking like we could potentially be in the best position. And so it's just, I'm so exhausted seeing people being so hard on this team. It's so irritating.
Take a
Good
break,
rebuilds
Tate. It's
take
okay.
time.
Take care of yourself. No, I
I mean-
agree with everything you're saying. I think part of why people are so on the Blackhawks as well is that stupid bias of the original 6 teams thing as well. I don't know why people are so obsessed. Oh, original 6 team.
It's not, that's not even, it's just they were just one of the first 6 teams to win the cup. People act like it's like some big, like, we were here first. And it's like, it really is not.
Like, cool,
it's
you've
not
been
all
here
that.
for like
History.
over 100 years. Cool.
Right.
How is that our fault?
Oh,
That nobody likes us over here.
You're ancient. Like, oh, good for you. Like, just
Yeah.
newsflash, everybody. The Blackhawks have their AARP card. Just in case, in case you needed that as like a level of superiority.
Yeah, the Sharks aren't old enough for that yet.
Right. Sharks
These
are still
teams
eating on
are
the
getting
kids
their
menu.
social security.
The Sharks are still eligible for the 6-piece nugget with the toy. All right, so you just calm down.
I think I'm hoping, because what do I know? I can't predict the future. I'm hoping that all of these haters.
Well, why the hell not, Nessa? Hurry up.
I'm sorry.
Get to it.
I'm working on it.
Yeah. Develop that skill.
So I can tell you lottery numbers.
Yes.
I'm hoping that the Sharks, like, I think they're building a pretty decent prospect pool. Okay. Even just the 3 that we named. But aside from that, even the like second rounders that Greer has picked or whoever, pretty decent. I'm hoping that all of these kids are gonna come up when they come up to the big leagues. They're gonna surprise everyone, because I don't think enough media folks outside of the Sharks are paying enough attention. I think it'll be cool to have all of them come up and be like dominating. They're all pretty cool.
Shut everybody up.
Yes. And then
And
we
that's what I'm
can
saying. Like,
retweet this stupid thing and be like, what happened to not believing in the rebuild? Huh?
The biggest grudge I'm gonna have.
that's I mean
Gonna
that's the thing.
remember this.
Bookmark it.
Like, good rebuilds take time. Like, good rebuilds take time. And everybody, I feel like, that's coming after the Sharks for whatever reason about, like, their rebuild isn't going to, like, what your idea of a Sharks rebuild should be. Like, would you want them to rush these guys before they're ready, and then they come in and they're an absolute fluke, or they can't handle the NHL, or
Yeah.
they don't develop the right way? They just spend the rest of the years with the Barracuda, not
I
seeing
think
time with the big club.
that's a good
Yeah.
point. I feel like the Sharks have been guilty of that in the past when they refused to admit that they were in a rebuild, and they would just call up the youngsters and before they were ready, and then they stunted their development because look where they are now, playing like
It's a,
overseas.
that's the same thing that happened. That's the same thing that happened when Benning was here, and we went through year after year. Like when we lost that 2014 season in the playoffs to the Kings, and it was okay. Well, now it's time. Like Henrik and Daniel are getting old. It's time for BX to move. It's time for Burrows to move. It's time for Kessler to move. So when you get like that core group out, and then for years we were stuck in this cycle of like we would trade prospects for somebody that was supposed to come in and be a fix now. So we didn't have a prospect pool, or we were making trades for whoever the hell else was like could come in and fill in this gap. And then the prospects that we were developing were something that we were being used as like bargaining chips, and we weren't developing them. Or if we brought them in, we'd give them 4 or 5 like months in the A, and they would score like 6 goals, and like the leadership group was like, they're ready, they could come in and make an impact now. And it's like, no, like look where that got us. Like look what that got the Canucks organization such a fiasco for so long trying to rewrite the ship. Like you want a rebuild to take time. You want to do those things where you're bringing in prospects, you're developing your prospects, you're making sure that they're at the absolute best level, where the only way that they can improve is to bring them up to the big club and let them have an impact and learn it that way. Like, you know, just PSA for everybody out there: lay off the Sharks. They're trying to do it right. I commend the I don't want to say slow moving, but the patience in the process, right? Like if you don't have patience in the process, you're gonna go through literally what the Canucks went through, which was 10 years of like, we want to win now, and it's like we didn't win those first 30 games of the season. Winning now doesn't solve a problem. Like we have
Yeah.
to be able to win consistently all the time and put together a group that does it. So listen, let them cook. Let the Sharks cook.
Let them. They're on the slow cooker. I also want to point out that
They're in a crock pot.
the Sharks had like yeah, exactly. They had like 6 like immovable contracts at one point or something. Like how many do we have now? I think 2 like full ones with Vlasic and Couture. And yeah, we have like 3 of them where we're still paying partial, but it's better than having them attached to the salary cap now. Like I don't understand why people are getting so butthurt over what the Sharks are doing. Like you don't pay attention to this team, you're not a part of it in any way, you're not part of the front office. Like drink some water.
Sit in the sun and eat a banana. You'll be fine.
Get some nourishment.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's like I feel like they're doing everything that they can. I mean, unfortunately, the contracts that Greer got stuck with, I mean, both Couture and Vlasic, and then the ones even before that, like Burns, Eric Carlson, Tomas Hertl, they all
Jones.
they all had no movement clauses. So you can't just be like, I'm shipping you over here. And it's like, no, I can't do that if I don't want to go. And they managed to make it work. And yeah, it might come at a cost at retaining salary, because again, the Sharks don't have the upper hand. They could simply just say, no, we don't want to trade with you. And then what we'd have like a bunch of aging guys on our team, and we would, probably be like hanging out, in the middle of the pack. Maybe on occasion we might look like we could slip into a wild card, but how does that help us in the long run, where we're just like in this middle, like limbo area? Like we have to make those hard decisions of eating up some of the some of the salary, like taking some players that, like all the bargaining aspects of it. And it's like, yeah, we may not have made like a big splash in every move, but the fact that you move a huge contract for an aging player or a player that just does not fit in a team that is trying to build up from the bottom again, like I kept just thinking, like, what else would you have had them do again and again? Like, what else? I get it's frustrating, and then I get like it's such an easy target to like complain about the Sharks because yeah, it's like we're pretty awful right now, and it's not going to be great for like a while. But it's like I hate nonsense arguments about the Sharks being terrible and like they're not looking good for the future. It's like, no, I actually think we are. I'm actually pretty excited about some of these prospects.
Me too. It's been I feel like it's been a while that I felt excited about this team, so let me have it.
Yeah.
It's so wild too, like people who otherwise, like, let's be real, we're all fans of Western Conference specific teams that really, unless somebody has some wild stuff to say, like they don't typically, like national media, hockey media doesn't really touch the Canucks. They don't touch the Sharks. So it's so funny to me that like when something happens, like for years it was, well, when the Canucks stop being basement dwellers. Well, now we're good, and everybody's like, I need you to be a basement dweller again. But like any other time, you weren't paying attention, and it's so wild for that this like to be kind of like on the other side of it, and in its own way as a fan is like now we're we've put together the pieces and we're kind of getting to where we should be, but then seeing everybody do the same thing to the Sharks. Well, the Sharks just aren't doing it right. The Sharks are taking their time. The Sharks blah blah blah, and it's like, when were you paying attention before now? Like for you to all of a sudden have an opinion about how or whether or not the future of this team is good. You weren't paying attention to the future, the past, or the present until they started tanking. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. You don't have anything.
You didn't like us before. Don't like us now. Just keep it moving.
Keep it
That's
neutral
all I'm
going.
saying. It's like, oh, they're the bottom of the standings. This is an easy story. Let me dunk on them for clicks and likes. And it's like, leave them alone. Leave the Sharks alone.
See, that's why I didn't listen to the full episode. I'm like, I'm giving you a play.
No,
Screw you.
I'd rather record my own podcast.
Let me give you the inside scoop.
Just think about it this way, you guys. You'll get through this, right? And everybody is always going to have their 2 cents, and they're going to give it to you for free, and you'll be rich in pennies by the end of the process. But then
this podcast is trying to get profit off of these listens. We don't get anything for ours, so.
But once you get to the other side of it, and guys like Will Smith are ripping up the NHL, people are going to have so much to say, and it'll be like the razor's edge.
How are the Sharks good?
Right, of everything they're saying now, and then, of course, the inevitable storyline. Remember when the Sharks sucked? We did. We don't talk about it. They're good now. It's one day, listen, all I hope for you guys when it comes to positivity amongst hockey fans is that one day you will get to experience the fruits of a good rebuild so that the headlines aren't, what the hell are the Sharks doing? And it's more of like, what the hell are the Sharks doing?
What happened? We stopped paying attention. They're good again.
Surprise, you never really started.
Yeah. On a lighter note, wanted to quickly talk about a signing that the Sharks made this past week. Well, the Barracuda, really.
Not there yet.
What?
We're hopeful. We're not there yet.
What do you mean?
He got a PTO.
Oh, PTO. Sorry. Yes. So he got a PTO. Akim. Okay, how do you say his last name? I feel like I say it wrong every time.
Akim Aliu. I think is
Aliu or Aliu? Aliu.
Because how Akim. I thought it was said, and then Tara Sloan said it on the broadcast the other day, and I was like, oh, that is not how I thought it.
Okay, well, Akim. He got a PTO with the San Jose Barracuda, which I wanted to bring up because Drew made a comment earlier in the discussion where he was like, "They're not signing 40-year-old retired players." He's not 40. He's like 34.
He doesn't have his AARP card yet.
And he is signed to the AHL team. Or, sorry, potentially going to sign for the AHL team. I thought it was cool because he hasn't played hockey in a few seasons now because of everything that transpired with the stuff that he went through.
With everything.
Yes, with
the
everything.
horrors.
It's so much. But yeah, I don't know. I want to know your guys' thoughts. I thought it was really exciting. I hope that he can get signed to the team. He'll be like a really good veteran presence for the young guys.
Dude, if he gets signed, I am going to be there. I'm getting a jersey with his name on it. Just everything that this guy has been doing and everything that he's had to like deal with this sport that we all love, and equally frustrating the things that he's gone through. Like I saw some idiot comments, as we do on the socials, of people saying, oh, this is such a, how do you call it? Basically implying that it's like a token PTO. Like, okay. I don't know how to react to like people being like, this is a guy that is just trying to get a shot. We're not trying to say that he's going to be like the answer to the Sharks to accelerate this rebuild. Like, just admit that you're racist and that you're impatient with this rebuild, because why is that even necessary to say? This guy had a dream like any one of us, that, when you're a kid and you haven't been hit with the realities of life and things happened during we know infamously with Bill Peters, and even he had to have that trauma brought back up to the surface most recently this season, where that guy like got hired for that junior team, and Akim like didn't even realize that the person who had contacted him to get kind of like a vouch, a reference to, and what little he said, and he didn't even realize that it had anything to do with this. And then they get on this panel and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry for whatever, heck, blah, blah, blah. Like, but, thank God I finally, get to coach in this sport again. It's like, through all of that, he gets this opportunity with the San Jose Barracuda. It's going to be great if he gets to sign. I hope people come out and watch him. I hope that, something else comes out from it. But even if it doesn't, I don't think that they're thinking, oh, this is such a great PR story. And because people are like, oh, there's some people who are saying like, oh yeah, the Sharks really need people to come out, to the games. And it's like, you're racist. Shut the hell up.
It's the Barracuda. It's not even the Sharks.
This is just a freaking hockey player who's just like, hey, can I have this opportunity? It's like, sure, why not? Like I said, he hasn't been signed yet. Nothing to deal with his skin color or whatever. I want to say it's going to have anything to do to influence it. It's just another hockey player that's just getting an opportunity, just like anyone else. Would you have said otherwise if this player was not black?
Okay, I have a
lot of things to get off my shoulders today, apparently.
I have a question though. Like, but what if it was because he's black and Mike Greer is black and he wanted to give him an opportunity because of what he went through? Is that so wrong?
No, it's not.
You want to know like my instant reaction was like, and if that's the case, like, honestly, who gives a fuck? This is as somebody that has been through way too much to just want to play. He's just a dude that wants to play hockey.
Right.
And it's not like the Sharks are signing anybody or giving anybody a PTO where it's like, hey, you're our meal ticket to figuring this all out and it all coming together. Like, that's deluded thinking, and it's crazy to me. It's like, this is woke. This is a woke thing that they're doing. First of all, might I depart the knowledge of geography on you as to where San Jose is? It's in probably what most people that say those kinds of things deem the wokest state in America. So, like, your argument already is flawed in certain regards. Who gives a shit? If he's a black guy and they want to sign him because he's black, then that's fine. Are we not all preaching about hockey is for everyone? Here's just this dude who's been through way too much. He deserves a legitimate shot. And hopefully the Sharks can provide that. And if he comes in and he does a great job, let's just say he does fit in and he does have the veteran presence. What's the story then? DEI saved the San Jose Sharks? Well, Jesus. And I'd just like to follow up that message to something very pointed at the NFL. Now do Colin Kaepernick.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Who cares? He wants to play hockey. He should have the same right to play hockey just as anybody else. And if the Sharks want to hopefully make that happen for him, because again, he could come in and he could be like, "I'm sorry, I forgot to skate." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just any realistic thing. He's like, legs don't move like they used to. Sorry, guys. Like, let him play, man. Get him a shot. If it works, it works. We put Phil Kessel on a PTO, so
that's a great point. I think Tara actually posted when he came in for his first day. She was like, he hasn't skipped a beat. He looks great out there. So that makes me even more excited, you know?
And he also looks really great in teal.
Everyone always looks so great in teal. It's such a great color.
I truly really hope he does, because and gets proper time with the big club, because I really am a sucker for those new third jerseys, and I will totally rock one of his third jerseys, unashamedly so. It's a perfect excuse for me to buy one.
Jay, we're converting all of our hockey friends into slight Sharks fans, and it makes me really happy.
Listen, if Akim makes it up to the big club, he can totally have my spot on my Cali Finn jersey. I will totally give him that spot.
I like it.
Because you just be like the just everything that this guy, from the Hockey Diversity Alliance to being outspoken about the racism and the shit that he's had to deal with hockey culture, just everything about it. It's even if he's 4 flying minutes, only spends that one season on his team, I don't care. This dude just is so, it makes me feel so great to see this guy never and not to say that people who've gone through a similar situation should see this and be like, oh, see, that's why you shouldn't have quit. It's everyone's got their own journey to have, but the fact that he's still found that spot in his heart, that he still wants to reach his dream, reach that potential that I feel was stolen away from him. I love that so much. I want to root so much for him.
And this has the chance to be another one of those really great, I use great here kind of loosely, but stories that happen naturally in sports, right? Let's say best case scenario, this is a guy that's been pretty much blacklisted for one reason or another from his dream. He gets to come in, say he does come in, and he makes an absolute impact, and he blows the roof off of everything. And it might not be the solution to the Sharks' problems, but it's one of those things where it's hey, that dude over there is doing some serious work, and he gets a chance to properly come into the league and show that he can fit in and make a good impact in the NHL. What a great story that would be after everything that he's been through that's kept him away from this game, that even when he's been away from it, like you said, Tara was he hasn't missed a beat. He's still very clearly dedicated to his craft. So what a great sort of stick it to the haters kind of storyline would that be. The Sharks get this guy who I wouldn't even say it's a redemption chance. It's just the issues of the old boys club, right? It's you didn't really you shouldn't have had to be up for a redemption chance in your career anyway. So like, you get this chance to come back and show people like I'm here and I know my game and I can play my game, and let's just say it works out for the Sharks. What what a great natural just sports storyline. Like you stuck with it. You didn't let the small-minded ignorance deter you, and when the opportunity came up, you made everything of it. Like I'm here for it, and I really hope it works out that way. I really, really do. That's the kind of stuff like those sort of stories and like stories in sports. Those are the things that get me excited about it, and that's the kind of stuff that every time like I've been following his, all of the stuff about Akim for a little bit now, because the same thing like I would like be saying like to the NFL, do Kaepernick. Okay, yeah, now give Kaepernick a job. Kind of the same similar story, right? Like they spoke out and said what they believed in, and then got blacklisted from their dreams for some of the stupidest, most ignorant reasons. Like those are the people I want to see win the most, especially in these kinds of situations. So yeah, please, please, I'm just asking the universe, like, please just let it work out, because I would love that Cali Finn jersey, and like support it with like so much like pride. Like he overcame all of the BS that you guys threw at him, and he's doing things, and
And he's
am
gonna
here for
be
it.
like key into helping the Sharks win the cup. No, I'm just kidding.
Right, right.
Oh, yeah.
Let's start with him getting on the CUDA first,
Yeah.
and then we'll work our way
We have
up.
big dreams for you, Akim. No pressure.
None.
Okay. Let's switch gears here because I feel like we've been talking about the Sharks the whole time. How are we feeling about this Tom Wilson suspension thing? I'm upset just because he's on my fantasy team, but other than that, I mean, it's Tom Wilson, so
How dare Tom Wilson do Tom Wilson things?
how dare he to a former Shark?
I don't even know what he did. I just know that I seen the headline and I went, Tom Wilson.
Okay, to summarize, him and Noah Gregor, like Gregor had the puck and Wilson came in to, do a check, and Gregor's like, okay, well that's over with. I'm going to continue going, but for some reason Wilson's like, nah, that offends me. And even though he's saying, oh, it wasn't intentional, I didn't mean to do that, like it looks bad still. And regardless of if you actually meant to do it or not, like you still hit the guy in the face with your stick.
Yeah, he like swung it up at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked pretty intentional.
Yeah. And then the photos, and then if you watch the clip, I'm glad that Gregor's fine. But it's kind of memeable, because then Wilson's like, oh no, and then he goes and hugs him. And then we were laughing about it offline, being like, it's such a don't tell mom. No, stop crying.
Please don't let the Department of Player Safety hear about this, please.
And there's this other photo that was taken where the ref's coming over and Wilson's like, well, and it looks like he's trying to explain the situation. And it's like, oh, Tom Wilson's talking to the cop, telling him, now, officer, I know what it looks like.
Good stuff.
It looks like I hit that man in the face with my stick. And I maybe did, but I also did not. Don't tell mom.
So on top of him being suspended, or I guess this is because he's suspended, he has to forfeit some of his salary. I don't know how much he makes. I didn't bother to look it up. But it says here that he's going to forfeit $161,458.32 for the 6 games he's going to be suspended. I especially like the 32 cents.
I love the arbitrary cents that they put into the fine.
He's really going to feel those 32 cents. He's like, no, not the 32 cents.
What would I ever do without that quarter? Nickel and 2 dimes.
This is what we've been asking for seasons. And I know that in the past he got that almost 20 game suspension that got reduced down to 14. I don't recall what it was related to, but for seasons he was doing I'm going to hit this person as hard as I can. And, rule book definition, I'm totally within the means and all that stuff to do it. But from a non-Caps fan perspective, it's kind of messed up when you look intentionally like you're just trying to get like the big impact, the big like wow factor behind it that potentially leads the player to be injured, to be concussed just by the impact alone. And it was what's so infuriating about when this guy would go about doing that and he wouldn't get anything because people are like, well, it's a clean legal check and whatever. It's like, yeah, but at what cost? And then I think at some point he did one or two things where they're like, oh, maybe we should like start giving a shit about how unnecessary this is.
I actually can tell you the cost, Jay. It's $161,000. Sorry.
But like, so we've been talking a little bit on and off about, Department of Player Safety, and, for seasons, it's like, where does this one or two games, where does this like slap on the wrist, where does this like, how does this, how are all of these like being handed out? Because it just seems like you just do a roulette and you're like, oh, well, I guess that guy getting hit in the face, that's $2,000 off your paycheck. That's just what the roulette thing says.
It's like Wheel of Fortune, It's like you're spinning a wheel and then it lands on a name and it's like Vanna White's pulling Tom Wilson on the board, like small fine.
I would almost enjoy that. If that was their logic, I would almost enjoy that.
If that's how we could switch up the draft lottery, like I would love that to happen. Let's just spin a wheel, see where it goes. The Blackhawks, inevitably, but
man, I'm so ready for them to give him freaking Celebrini because they don't deserve him. I'm already mentally preparing for that.
Also, I don't know if this is like on subject, but I don't really think the Department of Player Safety exists. I think it's like 6 possums in a trench coat with an access to a computer,
And they just like crawl over the keyboard.
That's why we get like the arbitrary like 32 cents because they're like, that looks like a human number. We put the cents behind it.
That makes sense. All right,
but
I would trust 6 possums in a trench coat more than the actual Department of Player Safety, I think.
I don't blame you.
But yeah, I'm like surprised in a way that they had handed this out, but also like, okay, cool, because he deserves it.
Right.
Because he's Tom freaking Wilson.
Jay, I think you and I were just talking about him in like last week's podcast about like it's just, even if it's within the rule book, like some of it, what he does is just excessive, right? Like we've all seen Tom Wilson pick up speed, like he's running from the cops and like hit somebody at like impact car collision in just like a matter of like 10, like he has nothing better to do except for like close the distance as fast as he can and like put the shoulder into somebody. And then the defense every time that something like that reckless happens is, well, his shoulder hit his chest, it was a good hit, blah blah blah. And it's like, my man, he was running like a cheetah full speed before that contact ever like happened. I don't know how you can't say that there's not some intention there. I get when you hit somebody, it's not like I'm not hitting you against the boards because I want to elicit a giggle. Like I'm trying to inflict some damage, but there is this level of like how you go about that physical play. I think that is, like we were talking about last week, like defining intent to injure. I think there are some of those things like we've seen Tom Wilson do that are definitively, if you were going to hands down define what intent to injure is in the game of hockey, there are some of those actions that it's like your only intent there was to inflict maximum damage. You weren't coming over to have a pillow fight with this guy. Like, there was venom in the way that you strode across this ice and leveled him. So I don't know if they can go back and like retroactively fine. I'm not opposed to that idea in this regard. 100 and how much was this again, Nessa? It was 161,000.
Wait, let me find it. $458.32.
And 32 cents. That'll teach him.
On the topic of the Capitals, would you like to give us your thoughts on their cherry blossom jerseys?
Yeah, something less destructive than Tom Wilson.
It's actually very pleasant. These are pleasant.
Right. This is very pleasant on the eyes, unlike Tom Wilson's actions sometimes. These are the Capitals' new cherry blossom sweaters. Which I've been to DC once in my life, actually, but for anybody that hasn't been to DC, they have beautiful cherry blossom trees that spring up all throughout the US's capital, and these are, like, I seen these on Twitter, and I thought that these are a really good nod to DC and its local area and like the stuff that they have going on in DC. But the one thing that I really love the most about these is the cherry blossom print inside the number on the back of the jersey. Like, it's really simple. It's not overdone. Like, you have the cherry blossoms popping up around the Capitals logo and then the extra like cherry blossom print inside the back number. I thought it was just a really cool little like specialty jersey that the Caps put out. Just something that looks really nice and really clean and is a nod to the local fan base and like metro area there. So what are you guys' thoughts on these digs?
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
Sure.
That's what we have this podcast for.
Did you notice that these are trans colors?
Oh, no.
So straight up, I was just clicking into it and I like looked at the 3 stars on the Capitals thing and I was like, oh my god, these are trans cherry blossoms. I was
the
like,
gay agenda found its way into the cherry blossom specialty
so
jersey.
That's that woke hockey being played in Washington, D.C. It's
How dare they? I was actually
the
going to
agenda
say,
doesn't stop.
I like the baby blue that they use, but I think these might have looked cleaner on a white one. Maybe it's just me. I don't mind it,
but it's trans colors.
No, I don't. Yeah, I'm not against the trans colors. I was gonna say that before you said your comment, so.
When Drew was talking, I was like, yeah, but like, can we just talk about the trans? Like, I was just like engrossed, and I'm just like, those are trans colors. I was listening to you, but also I was like, can we get to that?
Yes.
Like, even the Capitals, like, wing, whatever that they call that thing.
Screaming Eagle
wing,
or, I think.
Yeah, that.
I don't remember what it's called.
That should be my nickname, Screaming Eagle.
Okay.
For unrelated, for mental health purposes, get your head out of the gutter.
Who has it in the gutter? It never went in there.
Yeah, we're on the other side of town. I don't know. You are lost.
Where did you go?
Drew blinked and was like, well, clearly they're not here yet. It's like, bro, we said the coffee shop on the other side of town.
All right, guys.
Nobody sent me proper directions.
Since y'all want to keep this pretty gay, do you want to talk about your Icemen jerseys?
Yeah. From one homoerotic thing to the other, because
okay. Too much.
No, listen, I love I know that the NHL has their fun police out and they're not, so big on giving us gay jerseys. But this one is the Icemen's. They still did Hockey is for All. I don't know if what they did.
Does it give you hope? Do you see what I did there?
I did. I seen that. I am on the borderline of I don't know if I should be hopeful or not because I think these jerseys are illegal in this state. But
Yeah.
um, but no, I really and to talk about the hope thing, I really did like that for that instance, right? Because of the plight, which is kind of sounds like a weird word to say, but trans Americans in particular, trans Floridians have been going through it. We are up against a very ugly state legislature here in the state of Florida. And so I really loved seeing the tie-dye and the way that they used all the colors to bring it in, but then not going for a generic, rainbow Iceman logo, which still appears in the word hope, but they did it to frame it, in that sort of positive, optimistic way. And so I really like these. I will say that the ECHL, who has not shied away from having pride jerseys in any capacity, which kind of shocked me. The teams have been having, like, shout out to the Cincinnati Cyclones, the Kalamazoo Wings, the Utah Grizzlies. Those were the three teams I know right off the jump that had amazing pride jerseys in the E this year. And I really think that the Icemen did a good job with these Hope jerseys. I really do, because, like I said, we're up against a different sort of fight here in our state. I know that there's tons of other trans Americans that live in similar states having similar issues, and I thought that this was a really good nod by the team to say, like, you know, there might be people in this state that don't want you here, but you're welcome here, and we hope that provides some hope, some community, something positive to look forward to, even if it's just like nobody else in this state might think that I deserve to be here, but my hockey team does. Like, that's still a really nice little positive, positive message, I think, to put out. So I love them. I do think I don't know what this, like, weird infinity symbol or whatever it is that's behind. I'm not sure what that was about. That kind of
It's
feels kind of
infinite
weird.
hope, Drew. Infinite hope.
Well, let's be real. I don't know if that is a thing we can call upon, but no, it's a good looking sweater. It is, and I like
Sigh.
it, and I'm yeah. Yeah, I will say it is. I did like last season's Iceman Pride jerseys better than this season's, but when I seen the hope thing, I got, like, misty eyed because I was like, the hockey wants us to have hope.
Okay, I'm gonna be a stick in the mud here. All for the messaging. All for it. You know that. Strictly on design alone, it's alright.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's not. I can't say I had, like, my wig pushed back or anything after looking at these.
You were a wig?
I don't know if I use that properly. Let's try to be cool.
Look, I love the tie-dye. I wish more teams, designers would use tie-dye for pride things. I think it's fun. I think it's pretty spot on. I like that they use the tie-dye. I don't know if I like the actual design of how they place things on the jersey.
Yeah, it is weird. The one last year did have a better, I think, like, flow to it, so it made the jersey feel a little bit better. But the use of tie-dye, like, in the stripes and then the tie-dye in the letters, I don't believe it shows it on the Twitter post, but even the numbers
Like,
on the
what
back
if they
number
had
plate
tie-dye
were tie-dye.
shoulders?
Yeah, like a shoulder thing, but was tie-dye.
Yeah.
That would
I
be
feel like
dope.
it just feels empty there. Anyways,
Yeah.
I'm just being a nerd.
But I don't know. I agree. It is like, if we were to rank Pride jerseys 1 through 10, this one is a strong. I give it a 7 because I like the generous message of hope.
We'd have to have, like, different categories of, like, scoring. Yeah.
Messaging, design alone. You gotta separate it.
Okay, messaging, they get, like, an 8 because, like, truthfully, how much hope can you have? It's Florida. Eventually, the state will fall into the ocean. But overall execution, I give it, like, a 6.5.
I give it a 4.
Yeah.
And together you have 10.5 out of 10. So
That's not how it works.
could be.
Okay, you're not gonna be a judge in anything.
That's some like elementary school like grading right there.
No,
He was a winner.
And that's how we were raised, participation trophies.
And then we grew up.
come back later and I'll hand out orange slices for everybody that
Oh my
was
god, my
involved in
favorite!
on this.
Okay, no, this is a great segue because actually, Jay, did you want to give us your input on the
AFC?
Oh, no, on the jerseys? Did you want to say anything about it before we switch?
Yeah, I mean, I like the messaging behind it. I like the fact that, you know, even a team that's in Florida is, you know, still putting out stuff like this. You know, we know what's going down out there right now, and like I wouldn't be surprised if a local team was kind of, you know, a little concerned about being loud. But I like that they've done this. I'm with Nessa on like aesthetically, it's not particularly great, but you know they made a very good effort, and you get a star on your report card for that.
An effort was
no
made.
number, just a star.
Great school grading.
That's
You tried.
As a side note, I will say this: our governor, who shall not be named.
He usually should, yeah.
I was like, who's your governor? I already forgot.
I wish.
Sorry. I have the privilege. I'm on the other side of the country.
Eventually, I'll have that privilege too, and I'll be like, "What was that guy? That weird guy that ran the state? What was his name?" Jacksonville is his hometown, which is frightening and problematic for me for so many reasons. But and to put that in perspective, the Icemen still doing a pride jersey with hope on the front
They
in
said,
rainbow.
Suck it.
Yeah. To me, I was like,
"Don't come home."
right. You're not welcome here. Hockey is for all, not you.
Little asterisk next to his name.
Yeah, that's appropriate.
All right, we're gonna stay on this gay topic, and we're gonna switch over to my favorite, women's soccer, because it's so gay.
The gayest.
The gayest. No, let me tell you how gay this is. I went to a watch party in Oakland at a bar. Just wanted to go with a friend to watch some soccer.
You went to a pride event.
I went to
a soccer game workout.
Unintentionally, spontaneously went to a pride event. There were so many lesbians. I wasn't mad. I felt very comfy. It was. I didn't make any friends though. I was too shy. But
But did you see anyone cute?
I don't want to answer this question while we're recording.
What? Why not? Why not? So that's a yes then.
Nessa ducked completely out of frame. She's like, I believe
She's like, oh my god, there are so many cute people there.
I can't, you guys.
I don't even actually know what happened during that game.
Because I am so shy. Look at it, I turned so red. Anyways, we watched soccer.
So many women smiled at her, and she's like,
not.
I'm gonna get under this table now.
Don't look at me, please.
I don't know who's scoring in the game, but I know who I would like to score.
Okay, whoa. Whoa! Let's reel it back in.
Oh, you went.
So, BFC.
I want you on my team.
I'm gonna wait for you guys to settle down here.
I'm putting together a roster.
Oh god.
Girl, you are an all-star.
Can you tend my net?
I want to witness you guys trying these pickup lines on some people. Tell me if they work. Are we good? Got it all out?
So that's exactly what happened, right? Because you're not saying no.
Absolutely, yes. I totally said all of those things. Anyways. So Bay FC has played their second game of the season. There's their inaugural season. Drew, if you didn't know, they're brand new. I forgot why I brought this up, you guys. Like, completely
She
threw
was
me
like-
off.
Just remembering all those women.
Nope. It's not it. I just wanted to talk about soccer for a minute, honestly. I didn't get to watch their first game, but I did watch this one fully. I thought they were fun, but their defense sucks. Like, okay, I'm a Sharks fan. I understand what bad defense looks like. I've also played soccer before. Majority of the time, the ball was in their half of the field, like 95% of the game. It was a miracle that they were the first ones to score in the game. But what's her name? Oshuala, my favorite player. I've only watched one game. She's my favorite. She was basically the only one working out there. Like,
Yeah.
she at one point she got fed up and she was knocking people over. She was screaming at her teammates. She was like, "What the hell are you doing? Help me out." She got a really, really, really nice assist on the goal that Bailey scored, I believe. I only know 3 players. And then, well, who are they playing? The Spirit. They ended up scoring, tying it, not like shortly after. They didn't keep the lead for long. The thing that really, I think it's a Bay Area thing. It's a Bay Area thing because
Damn those women.
Look, we talked about the Sharks, how they were winning 4-0. Stop it. God. The Sharks let the Blackhawks tie the game with 40 seconds left in the game. Bay FC let the Spirit score with 30 seconds left in the game, and they ended up losing. And it was so frustrating. But it's like, I'm not surprised with the way they were playing.
I mean, okay, look. So when I was saying earlier before we hopped on, like this team, it's very similar to the Sharks. Got put together,
Sure.
most of the roster had changed, by the time the season started. It's their first year. They don't have a U.S. national team women's like roster player on there. I think that's one of the things that they're trying to see if they can get, because you like Oshuala, you kind of need that veteran presence, and I haven't really been following very closely in terms of like where like people who makes it to the professional level, like the quote unquote like the development like areas of the country, or across the world and whatever. So a lot of it is like me also still learning like who are all these players, and like who should we be excited about. Like I think Savvy King, we got her second overall in the draft. She looks like she's got a very good ceiling for her career. She's quite young, so I don't imagine that she's going to be one of like the equivalent of like a Connor Bedard that's going to be leading the charge. But the first game I did watch it, and similar to what you said, Nessa, they spent most of their time defending, and like that's a little like concerning, because they like you might want to be on the other end of the field. But I kind of like expected that, because they'd only been training as a team for a very short period of time, and I guess maybe that has something to do with it. And like I think just in general, I'm just really excited to just kind of be on this journey with the team.
For sure.
And it's been something I've been wanting for years, to have a team here in the Bay Area. Freaking SoCal's got like what, 2 teams? They've got 2 teams down there.
Yeah.
San Diego
LA
and LA. Yeah. So yeah, we've needed one here. And like even the teams down there, like we played we played our first game against what's the freaking name of the LA team? Angel City.
Mhm.
Angel City, and they got last season. What's her face from the national team? She used to be on Pride. Anyways, they've got like a handful of like U.S. national team players down there. They have freaking Alyssa Thompson, I believe. So they've got, the fact that we even won that game, even though like, it was like they got a really good opportunity. They took advantage of it. And then for the rest of the game, they were in their defensive zone. Like, but they held off, as much as they could. And we got the win. And it was like a really great moment. Like, do I expect this team to like be really great and, get to, to playoffs or the equivalent of what that looks like? Not really, but I'm here to just experience the journey with
For
them.
sure. I'm just being critical because like there were some things out there that I was questioning. Like, what are you doing? Why did you make that decision?
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I'm still a fan. I'm just a hater. Oh, Drew, do you watch soccer?
I love soccer. I actually found soccer and hockey at the same time in my life. Soccer was much more accessible than hockey was, so I, started playing, and I've been playing. I still play. I play recreationally, so I play all the time.
What position?
I'm a right back. I
Defender?
thrive. Oh yeah. I thrive at defense. I don't like to run, but I can kick the ball, and that is just perfect for me. um, I've been super excited about women's soccer. I almost said women's hockey, about women's soccer in particular, because like Jacksonville is getting a team here. Like I know like soccer is like really growing all over the U.S. with the MLS still developing. Jacksonville's about to get two pro teams, one in the National Women's League, and then one the MLS development team is coming. They're going to come here, so I'm super stoked about it. I need to find. I don't have. I follow like the Premier League over in England, and I follow those guys. I need to follow some domestic teams. And I do just, I'm going to be honest, as somebody that grew up playing, I do really like the absolute viciousness of women's soccer. Because, like, the dudes are out there, and it's like, if you just look at their feet the wrong way, it's like, oh my god, I twisted my ankle, like, flopping on the ground. But women are like, I will break your collarbone if you run at me with that ball one more time. It's vicious. And I love it. I need to. So I'm down to adopt Bay FC and their failing defensive strategies.
Come on,
I'll
hop
always
on this
down.
roller coaster with us.
Always
That
down.
reminds me, Washington Spirit has Trinity Rodman.
Oh my gosh, she's so good. I think I'm a fan.
And I remember
For a couple
when I think they were doing friendlies before the season started, and I think it was against Brazil. And I think her and another player on the other side of the field were like getting into it here and there. So when Drew was talking about how they're just like, I will break you, like that's what I was thinking of. I was like, Trinity Rodman during that friendly.
I love it, man. It's the same way. It's the same thing with like women's hockey, and they're like, no, you can't hit. Meanwhile, they're like, I'm rubbing you out along the boards. Like, it's my puck. I love it. I love that viciousness.
And then I also remember Angel City has, I remember her name now, Sin Liaru. That's who they have. So we need somebody.
Yeah.
Need somebody on our Bay FC team.
Yeah. What's appealing about the Bay Area? It's expensive as hell. Like, how are you gonna bring someone here?
Okay. Not sure that's the podcast for solving those problems. I gotta solve that in my personal life.
Yeah, same.
Tune back in on Wednesday where we talk about over the glass economics. It's just
tips on staying afloat.
We don't have any, so if you have some, submit them to us. We'll use them.
Oh my god. Anyways, do you guys have any like closing things you want to put out into the world? thoughts, concerns?
I'm
No,
so
I
Grievances.
don't think so. On next episode, Nessa will tell us about those
Nope.
women.
Nessa will tell you about the prospects she scouted.
Okay, wow. I'm ending this. This is enough. I've had enough. Oh. All right. That's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us. I'm your
Bye.
co-host, Nessa.
And I'm Jay.
And I'm Drew.
Yeah. Okay, join us next week, I guess. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.